All right, let's talk about AMD, because they just dropped an absolutely monster quarter. We're talking shattered records and a huge signal about what's coming next in tech. Today, we're going to break down all the numbers, what's driving them, and what it really means for the future of AI and gaming. Let's dive in. So here's what we've got on tap. First, we'll hit those big headline numbers that made everyone sit up and pay attention. Then we're going to look under the hood at the growth engines that are really firing. After that, we'll get into the super important AI partnerships AMD is building, check out their own forecast for next quarter, and finally, we'll connect all the dots on why this quarter is such a big deal. Okay, let's get right into it. Part 1, the headline numbers. These are the big, flashy figures that tell you right away just how incredible AMD's performance was. And here is the main event, a jaw-dropping $9.2 billion in revenue. And just to be crystal clear, that's not just a good number, that is the single highest quarterly revenue AMD has ever had in its entire history. Wow. Now, to put that number in perspective, take a look at this. That $9.2 billion represents a massive 36% jump from this exact same time last year. And according to AMD, this wasn't just one product having a great run. No, this was broad-based demand across the whole company. And you know, all that revenue is great, but does it translate to profit? Oh yeah, it does. We're looking at a record non-GAAP earnings per share of $1.20. That's up a really solid 30% year over year, which is a fantastic sign of just how efficient their business is running. Now, you've heard me say non-GAAP a couple of times, so what does that even mean? Well, you can think of it as a way of looking at the numbers after you've cleared away some of the, accounting clutter from one-off expenses or income. It just gives you a cleaner, clearer picture of how the core business is actually doing. Okay, so let's move on to part 2. Where exactly did all this growth come from? We're going inside the growth engines to see which parts of the business are absolutely crushing it. First up is the real powerhouse, the data center segment. This division alone pulled in an incredible $4.3 billion. That is a 22% increase from last year, and believe me, this is the segment that every single analyst is watching like a hawk. So the big question is why? Well, it's pretty simple. This growth is plugged directly into the two hottest trends in all of tech right now. Huge demand for their EPYC server processors that power the cloud, and an absolute explosion in sales for their Instinct AI GPUs. This proves it. AI isn't some future bet for AMD anymore. It's a core part of their business today. Okay, now brace yourself for this next number, because it's a big one. The client and gaming segment. Its revenue grew by a staggering 73% year over year, hitting $4 billion. I mean, for months, people were saying the PC market was dead or slowing down. This number tells a very, very different story. And this wasn't just one thing carrying the team. It was basically the perfect storm. You had record sales of their Ryzen processors for PCs. You had more revenue from their semi-custom chips, which, is mostly for the big game consoles. And on top of that, you had super strong demand for their Radeon gaming GPUs. I mean, that is a true triple threat performance. Okay, on to part 3. Beyond just selling chips, a huge piece of the puzzle in tech is who you're working with, right? Your ecosystem. So let's take a look at the massive AI partnerships AMD is building. And look, these are not small deals. We're talking about a huge strategic partnership with OpenAI. We're talking about working with Meta on a brand new massive rack-scale design and building Oracle's very first public AI supercluster with 50,000 AMD GPUs. This shows AMD isn't just a part supplier. They are becoming deeply woven into the very fabric of the AI industry. So after a quarter like that, the big question is, can they keep it up? Well, this is part 4. The official Q4 financial outlook. This is what AMD is actually telling investors to expect next. And it looks like AMD is telling everyone that the momentum is absolutely going to continue. As you can see, they're guiding for revenue to land somewhere around $9.6 billion. If they hit that, it would be another record, back to back. They're also guiding for a really healthy gross margin of around 54.5%, which basically says they expect to keep their products in high demand. All right, let's step back for our final section, part 5, why this quarter really matters. Let's pull all these threads together and figure out what the big takeaways are. So what's the bottom line here? First, it's undeniable. AI is now a massive growth engine for AMD. It's not a theory, it's a fact. Second, that unbelievable 73% jump in client and gaming, it means the PC market is roaring back and AMD is grabbing a bigger piece of that pie. And third, their own confident forecast for Q4 suggests this isn't a one-time thing. This is real forward momentum. And all of this brings us to the one big question that everyone on Wall Street is asking right now. With the AI market absolutely booming and the PC market making a huge comeback, are we watching the start of a whole new sustained chapter of growth for AMD? The numbers, honestly, they make a pretty powerful case that a titan of the industry is cementing its place right at the top.